بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. السلام عليكم. خوشحالی مبارک. Alhamdulillah, tonight we have something extra. We have the balloons as well. Or were they here last night? I didn't see them. No, it's new, right? Alhamdulillah, it's very beautiful. For people watching at home, they can't see the balloons, but trust us, it's very nice. Yes, the later the stage, and inshallah, very excited. Bless the people who've prepared it. How are you feeling? You're okay, brother? You're good? How are you? Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. So nice to be with you. Yesterday we started a discussion on Munajat Sha'baniyya, which is the Munajat recommended to be read or recited in these nights. The main theme of the beginning phrases of the Munajat was this idea of insan finding himself or herself alone in this world with so much pressure, and then trying to reach out to God and ask for help. And I said the way Ahl Bayt teach us to do that is quite different to how sometimes we are told to do it by other people. We were often told, do good actions till you reach God, but Ahl Bayt say, no, don't rely on your good actions. Do them, but for God to come and find you, the best way, instead of you relying on your actions, is to you to call out to God. So the dua started, Salamun alaikum, alaikum salam. Salam. Please recite salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, ala Muhammad. Salam alaikum, salam alaikum. Salam alaikum. With your permission. Salam. So the dua started by saying, وَاسْمَعْ دُعَائِي إِذَا دَعَوْتُكَ. In other words, the Imam is saying, from where I am in the world, it's very difficult for me to reach to the creator of the universe, how insignificant I am and how great God is. So instead of that, Imam is teaching us, in your heart, make that decision that I need God, and then throw that request out and hope that God will come and reach out to you and find you, which God will do. Because the Ahl Bayt wouldn't tell us to do something if God wouldn't have responded. So that was the main theme of the discussion yesterday, that if you find yourself alone in this world and you need that support of God, don't rely too much on yourself, rely on God coming to help you. And in order for you to know that God can come and help you, then it's so important, what is your understanding of God? And I think this is something that in the Ad'iyah and the Munajats, Ahl Bayt talk about it a lot. That even yesterday as I was leaving, one of the brothers asked at work, we're so busy, how can we remember God? How can I think of God at work? I said, which type of person do you naturally think of? Those are the people you love. So if you want to remember God at work, then you have to have an understanding of God that makes you love Him. You only naturally remember the people that you love. You think of your child, if they're newly born and you love them. So if you want to remember God, you need to love Him. You need to have an understanding of God that makes Him lovable. And it's only then that you can fully benefit from this relationship with God. So one of the things you see that Ahl Bayt in these munajats and du'as, it's as if it's a discussion with us as well, in the sense that they address some of the things that we believe about God, and then they're like, how could that be true? Let me read the one that I wanted to discuss tonight, if it's okay after the salawat. إلهي إن أخذتني بجرمي أخذتك بعفوك. God, if you want to take me by the mistakes I've made, by the crimes I've committed, then I'll come to you, I'll take you with your generosity and your forgiveness, بعفوك, your forgiveness. إلهي لو أردت حواني لم تهدني ولو أردت فضيحتي لم تعافني. So beautiful. Imam says, God, if you didn't want me to, and if you wanted to, for example, embarrass me, if you wanted me to be, exposed, if you wanted me not to reach the good place, why would you give me this gift of guidance? Why would you tell me that you exist? Why would you put this belief inside me that there is a creator that I can ask help from? Why would you give this guidance to me? The fact that you've given me guidance, you've told me you exist, it means that you want me to reach a beautiful place. You don't want me to be exposed. You don't want me to be embarrassed. And just think about the difference this makes. In one of the other du'as we have, the Imam says to God, God, if I go to heaven, who would be happy? The enemies of your Prophet. If I go to heaven, who would be happy? Your Prophet would be happy, you would be happy. Right? What is the Imam trying to tell us in these things? It says God is on your side. What did they tell us? You make a mistake, God will be angry with you, you'll go to hell. You're a good boy, then you'll go to heaven and God will be happy with you. As if God is there waiting 50-50 to see what you do, ready to send you either this way or that way. But Imam paints a different picture. Imam says, no, God is not just a judge waiting to judge you. God is also a caretaker. God is your Rab. God is your guide. God is rooting for you. This is, I think, a very important point in this line of the dua. It says, God is on your side. God is cheering you. God is rooting for you. And if you make mistakes, it's not that God would be upset, but because you're hurting yourself, not because that's going to impact God, which is what Imam Hussein alayhi salam said in Dua Arafah. He says, God, when I make a mistake, I'm not harming you. I'm not hurting you. God will never be impacted by our action. So even if we make a mistake and upsets God, God is upset because we're hurting ourselves. ظَلَمْتُ نَفْسِي. I'm hurting myself. I'm never hurting God. And this is very important for us to know, because at no point in our life will God ever stop rooting for us. Will never stop wanting the best for us. Imam says, God, if you wanted me to be exposed, why would you even tell me that you're loving and caring and forgiving and a guide? The fact that you told me about yourself, you brought me to this world, you took care of me, you told me you exist, it means that you want me to reach to the best places. It's like a gardener. Imagine a plant talking to its gardener. You planted me, you gave me water, you put me in front of sun. What does that show me? It means you want me to grow. You want me to bear fruits. Would any sane gardener plant a seed, water it, put it in front of the sun, and at some point take it out and get rid of it, harm it? No. So Imam is saying, God, you've done so much for me. This is making me think that you have a plan for me. You want to take care of me. And I think this is a very important idea, that once it sits in our heart, then you'll see that the connection between you and God enters into a whole new level. If it's okay, please recite the salawat while some of the brothers also come forward, and then inshallah we'll continue. Let's read another line and then inshallah we'll continue. This is all munajat sha'baniyya. إلهي لم يكن لي حول فأنتقل به عن معصيتك إلا في وقت أيقظتني لمحبتك وكما أردت أن أكون كنت. Imam says, God, this is the phrase we mentioned yesterday as well. I have no strength by which to distance myself from my shortcoming unless in the time in which you have awakened me to your love. Think about it. Imam says, God, the only time I can distance myself from my shortcoming, and shortcomings could be a million things. Maybe I get scared, maybe I don't have courage, maybe I'm tempted, maybe I'm lazy, maybe I have an anger issue, maybe I'm jealous. Whatever it is that I'm struggling with, maybe I need strength that I don't have. Imam says the only time I can overcome these is when I inside feel your love. In other words, for the heart to overcome these shortcomings, it requires energy. And Imam in Munajat Sha'bani says that energy only comes from loving God, from feeling God's love. And so, if we want to fully benefit from our religion, from our relationship with God, the way Ahl Bayt are teaching us, our relationship with God should be in such a way that we feel so close, we feel so friendly and informal with God, that in every moment of our life, we feel like we can talk to Him, we can access, and we can get help from Him. And then Imam says it's only in this situation that you will then finally become the way that you're meant to be. وَكَمَا أَرَدْتَ أَنْ أَكُونَ كُنْتَ. I finally will be the way you want me to be. And how did God want us to be? God wants us to be the best version of ourselves. Being able to be honest, kind to our families, doing the right things, being strong, being patient in face of difficulties, enjoying life. Now, there are two ingredients which I think will really help for this. I think this is the two golden keys in the teachings of Ahl Bayt. I'll share them with you. I hope, inshallah, it's good. By the way, do you feel like the energy is very low? I feel like many of you are very tired. Should we recite salawat and try to bring some energy in? Yeah? The energy I'm getting is not khoshhali energy. It's like the energy of 2 hours into a road trip. You've heated the seats, you're wearing your coat, and you forgot to buy your coffee. You're driving and your eyes are slowly. That's the kind of energy I'm getting. And if you give me that energy, I'm driving back to London after this talk. You're sending me for a meeting to God. Right? So, by the way, did anyone have any questions from yesterday's talk, or are we all good about that one? Although I know if we even have questions, no one's going to ask it, right? I know the Khojas very well. Bless. But Khoshhali Mubarak as well. Inshallah, I hope you enjoy the whatever comes afterwards. Yesterday we had those, what was it? Dalo or Lado? Dalo. Lado? Lado. Wama adraka ma lado. It was very good. But that was only for yesterday, right? And on tonight we can't expect it. Is there something special for tonight or no? Tonight is just a basic sweets and donuts. Very good, very good. You never, keeps the hope alive, huh? Very good, very good. Which takes us back to the dua, keeping the hope alive. I was saying, inshallah, two ingredients, golden ingredients from the du'as of Ahl Bayt, and I will say goodbye. Two things, if you have them together, you can expect miracles to happen in your life. In Dua Kumail, you go, it's the same thing. Abu Hamza, you go, it's the same thing. In Munajat Sha'bani, is the same thing. Number one is honesty in front of God. A lot of the times, why is it so difficult for people to accept their mistakes and shortcomings? Because from the time we were a child, if we accepted we have a mistake, what would happen? Masalan, family would say that, we only love you if you get good grades. If you make a mistake, daddy won't love you. Or at school, the teachers will like, if you're naughty, we'll tell the principal. So in our head, love is kind of linked to us being good. And we always thought, if I make a mistake at home, daddy may not like me anymore. Or in school, the same. So there's so much pain in accepting we have a shortcoming. One of the hardest things, for example, in the therapy room, is that you can't tell people, even if you know clearly the way they are harming themselves, you can't tell them. You know why? Because they won't accept it. And the reason therapy took so long for most people is that people have so many different types of defenses that stops them from accepting their shortcoming. Now it was someone else's fault. It was because of this. They don't get me. We all have this, by the way. Why? Because it's so painful to accept I've made a mistake. With God as well, unfortunately, because the God they told us about was a God that if you make a mistake will send you to hell, we're the same with God as well. It's very difficult for us to accept in front of God even our shortcomings. That's why the hardest thing for any human being is to just reach that level of honesty in front of God. So what Ahl Bayt do is like they say, beautiful person, God is different to your family. God is different to your, for example, teachers. Maybe at school, if you made a mistake, they wouldn't like you anymore. You would be considered a bad student. But with God, no matter what you've done, there's still hope. He still loves you. And the moment you acknowledge, the moment you're honest with God about it, not only God's love is not reduced, but you actually go closer to God. وَجَعَلْتُ الْإِقْرَارَ بِالذَّنْبِ إِلَيْكَ وَسِيلَتِي. Imam says, not only my mistake does not get me farther from God, I will use my acknowledgement of the mistake to go closer to God. Think about it. Imam says, if you're honest about a shortcoming you have, that will actually get you closer to God. So this is ingredient number one, that if you manage to find this in your life, you are going to experience miracles. Ingredients number one, be honest with God. And you can only be honest with God if you know how forgiving and loving God is. And that's what Ahl Bayt are teaching in this munajat. Ilahi, in akhaftani bijurmi, akhaftuka bi'afwik. They kept telling you, you have so much sins. Imam says, God, if I have sins, your generosity is bigger than my sins. Your forgiveness is bigger than my sins. Ilahi, and then someone may say, no, you have too much hope in God. Nah, God is not that forgiving. This is too much hope. Imam says, Ilahi judoka basata amali. Someone may say, Sheikh Jawad, why do you have so much hope that God will forgive? Imam in Munajat Shabani answers, because God is very generous. Ilahi judoka basata amali. The thing which expanded my hope and made me have so much hope in you is your own generosity. Your kind makes me have so much hope in you. In Dua Abu Hamd al-Somali, Imam Sajjad says, Alhamdulillah alladhi yahlumu anni ka'anni la dhanba li. Praise be to the God who is so halim, patient, tolerant towards me as if I have never sinned. So Ahl Bayt say, once you know your God is so loving, in front of Him you don't need to fake it. Be honest. God, I'm sorry, I made a mistake here. I'm sorry. I was tempted, I fell. I lied here. I don't know, I cheated there. I got jealous here. I didn't want to, but I couldn't control myself. I'm sorry. Imam says, this admission, this honesty, I know it's bad. I made a mistake. I'm sorry. In front of others, I may not be able to be honest, but it says at least with God be like that. Sometimes I even tell people, even if you're in the middle of a mistake and you can't stop yourself, at least tell God, I ended up doing this anyway, but I'm sorry. I wish I didn't do it. I know it's wrong. Apologies. Even if you're doing it in the middle of it, don't rationalize it. Don't like, no, who says it's wrong? I'm sorry. Help me. So ingredient number one, be honest with God. And I said, you can only be honest if you know how much He loves you. He will never reduce His love for you. He is there for you. And then ingredient number two for this magic portion of miracle. Ask him for help. God, I am going to a situation in which I'm about to make a mistake. You give strength to my heart so that I can overcome it. God, I'm going to talk to a person and it's a very difficult discussion. I'm scared. I'm nervous. You send energy to my heart so that I can go through that without any problems. The combination of opening yourself and being honest with God and then asking God to help you will create miracles in your life. And I have seen this many times. This is literally what Dua Kumail is all about. And then you see that in one moment, the person who couldn't even handle the temptation, when he or she opens up to God and asks for help, in few moments they can turn into a person through the help of God that can handle anything. And this is the thing that we're lacking in our lives. That real belief that in every moment of life, God can come to my heart and change how I'm feeling. God is not this third person, absent being out there waiting to judge me. God is a loving, beautiful creator who says, هُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. He is there with us wherever we are, and at any point can come into my heart, يَا مُقَلِّبَ الْقُلُوبِ, and change my heart. If you manage to believe in this, if you manage to have faith that at any moment God can come into my heart and change it, your life from that point onwards will never be the same. You are going through a very difficult moment. It's very difficult. You're going through so much pain. It's so much sadness. You feel like you can't handle it. You look back, you see the last few years, whenever you were this much sad, it ended up taking you to such dark places, you couldn't get out of it. But now you say, you know what? All those years that I couldn't handle it, I never asked for God to come and change my heart. Let me try that tonight. God, I'm feeling very sad. I'm very low. Come and change my heart. And then you for yourself see if it happens or not. But for you to be able to make that connection in that moment of sadness, to even remember such a thing is possible, you have to know God is your friend. You have to know God is on your side. God is rooting for you. You have to look at God as your friend, not as your judge. And this is what the Ahl Bayt are trying to teach us. And I remember I shared this we had this workshop on Dua Kumail. I shared this with people. And after a while, I said, share some stories. Did you try this in difficult moments, trying to ask God for help? And then people started sharing their stories, and it was so beautiful. So beautiful. Different stories we heard. For example, someone was saying, I had to be there for someone who's ill, and I was losing my patience, because sometimes when you want to take care of someone, it's so difficult. You have to be so patient. They may be grumpy. He said, I was about to lose my patience. I asked God, God, I'm running out of love for this person. You filled my heart with love. God came and filled my heart with love, and I was there for them. Someone saying, I was going to an interview. I was nervous. On the way, I asked God for help. As I am walking to the interview, my heart changed. I found the courage, and I went very strong to the interview. So 2 key ingredients. One, being honest and open with God with whatever we're feeling. And the second thing, having faith that God can actually come to your heart and change it, no matter what it is. And this is what Imam Ali says, that إلهي لم يكن لي حول فأنتقل به عن معصيتك إلا في وقت أيقظتني لمحبتك. Please recite the salawat. إلهي إن من انتهج بك لمستنير وإن من اعتصم بك لمستجير. There is so much beauty just in this one line. Imam says, God, the one who holds on to you, من اعتصم بك لمستجير, will be saved. will be okay. So what is it now that we need to practice? We need to practice this holding on to God, asking God for help, not in the mosque, but in the moments of our life. In that moment where, masalan, one of the things people say, Sheikh, I can't forgive my family. I'm like, who said you should forgive them? Does that make sense? When someone tells me I can't forgive my friend, I want to forgive them, I can't. I'm like, well, don't you have a God? Doesn't He have access to your heart? Why don't you tell Him to come and help you forgive? Do you see? We think we have God, but we actually live as if we don't. Sheikh, I can't overcome this problem. Did you ever ask God to come and change your heart? Did you ever say, God, come and help me forgive this person? God, come and help me. Maybe in that very moment, not now in the mosque. No, tonight when you're angry, you really want to shout at your partner because it's in the middle of the argument. You know it's wrong. You can't stop yourself. Did it ever occur to you that, God, help me stop myself? God, come and take the anger out of my heart. And it's only then that you suddenly realize, oh my God, what it means to live as a person who believes in God. A lot of us now, we believe in God only in our head. Our life, we're not living the life of a person who has a God. We're trying to do everything on our own. I'm jealous, I want to overcome my jealousy on my own. I'm lazy, I want to overcome my laziness on my own. When you go to Ahl Bayt, they say, no, do everything with God. In Dua Abu Hamza Somali, at the end of it, it even says, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-kasal. Even this, sometimes I'm a little bit lazy, I'm getting a little bit tired. Even from that, God, you come and help me. Do you feel the difference that this prescription of the Ahl Bayt has? This idea that God can come and help you at any point. And this is actually what God Himself says in the Quran. هُوَ مَعَكُمْ أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُمْ. I am with you wherever you are. And in whatever state you are. You're low, I'm there with you. You're angry, I'm there with you. You're about to make a mistake, I'm there with you. You just made a mistake, you feel bad, I'm there with you. I'm there with you wherever you are. And I'm there not to judge you. I'm there to help you. Imam Hussein in Dua Arafah says, وَوَسَعَ الْمُسْتَقِيلِينَ رَأْفَةً وَرَحْمَةً وَحِلْمًا. And God surrounds the one who's making mistakes with gentleness, patience, and mercy. And God is not there to just write what you're doing. He's there on your side. So I was thinking, if you agree on this beautiful night of Khoshhali, let's take 30 seconds and talk to God about whatever you want. Well, each of us, we're going through different things. Someone may feel like they need support with something. Someone may feel like, I want to thank God for whatever someone may need. Whatever it is in your heart and mind, let's for 30 seconds talk to your Creator. Talk to your God who Imam is saying loves you so much, okay? I'll go quiet for 30 seconds, just talk to God. May God, inshallah, enable all of us to find God in the moments of our life. And then you will see how different life is. Honestly, I don't think we still know how rich we are to believe in God. We believe in a God who can change everything for us at every moment, but we're not tapping into the power of our Creator. We don't know how much He's there to help us. This qawwa ala khidmatika jawarihi in dua kumail, Imam is saying in every moment of your life, whatever you need, ask God for it. And may God inshallah enable us by the barakah of such a beautiful night that we start living like this, finding God in our life, going through our challenges with God, growing with God. And may God inshallah also send some light from tonight's session to the soul of all of our loved ones who passed away. Anyone going through any challenges, any difficulties, any soul who feels alone, any person who feels overwhelmed by their difficulties, may God send love and courage to their hearts so they can go through that. And on that note, thank you so much for tolerating me for the past 2 sessions. It was really an honor for me to be among you, and inshallah I hope we see each other very soon. And on that note, shall we end with the salawat? Allah.